The smell of antiseptic fills my lungs as I sit in this cold emergency room. The steady beep of the heart monitor is the only thing keeping me from losing my mind. My wife Harper lies motionless on the hospital bed, an oxygen mask covering her pale face. Just 3 hours ago, we were laughing at my family's dinner table. Now I am watching her fight for every breath. How did a simple family gathering turn into this nightmare? My family said they loved me. But does love look like this? Before I tell you what happened that night, let me know where you are watching from. Drop a comment below. If you have ever felt betrayed by the people who were supposed to protect you, hit that subscribe button and like this video. This story might change how you see family forever. To understand how we got here, I need to take you back to the beginning, to the family I grew up in, and the traditions I never questioned until it was almost too late. I grew up in a suburb outside of Columbus, Ohio. From the outside, we looked like a typical American family. My father, Robert, was a retired military man, strict and proud of his service. My mother, Linda, stayed home, always cooking, always cleaning, always making excuses. I have an older brother, Marcus, who became a lawyer, and a younger sister, Brianna, who was always the wild one. And then there was me, Dalton, stuck in the middle, trying to please everyone. My father believed in what he called toughening us up. In our house, that meant pranks. Not harmless little jokes, but calculated humiliations, designed to test how much we could take. The earliest memory I have of this is from when I was 7 years old. We were at a family barbecue, standing by the pool. I did not know how to swim yet. Without warning, my father grabbed me by the shoulders and threw me into the deep end. I remember the water rushing into my nose and mouth, my arms flailing, the burning in my lungs as I sank. My uncle eventually jumped in and pulled me out. When I lay on the concrete gasping for air, my father just laughed. "That will teach you to swim fast," he said. Everyone else laughed too. By the time I was 10, I had learned not to trust birthday cakes. That year, my mother presented a beautiful chocolate cake with candles glowing. I made a wish and blew them out. When I cut into it, the inside was filled with shaving cream. The whole family erupted in laughter while I stood there with white foam dripping down my hands, trying not to cry. My father clapped me on the back. "It is just a joke, son. Do not be so sensitive." The pranks escalated as I got older. When I was 15, Brianna convinced Marcus to help her lock me in the basement during a Halloween party. They told me there was a surprise waiting down there. The door slammed shut behind me, and I heard the lock click. I spent 8 hours in complete darkness, banging on the door, screaming until my voice gave out. When they finally let me out the next morning, they were still laughing. I developed a fear of dark, enclosed spaces that I carry with me to this day. Every time I got upset, the response was always the same. "Do not be so dramatic. It is just a joke. If you are going to be part of this family, you need to learn to take it." I internalized those words. I convinced myself this was normal. This was how families showed love. This was how you became strong. Then I met Harper. It was 4 years ago, at a company picnic. A mutual friend introduced us. She was a first-grade teacher with kind eyes and a laugh that made everything feel lighter. We started talking, and somehow I ended up telling her stories about my childhood. I presented them as funny anecdotes the way I always did, but Harper did not laugh. She looked at me with this expression I had never seen before. Concern. Genuine concern. "Are you okay?" she asked. No one had ever asked me that before. Not after any prank. Not after any humiliation. Not once in my entire life. That simple question broke something open inside me that I did not even know was locked. Harper came from a different world. Her family lived on a small ranch in Montana. They gathered for dinners where people actually talked to each other. They celebrated birthdays without hidden traps. They said, "I love you," and meant it without conditions. Being with her showed me what family could actually look like. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. She said yes, and I felt like the luckiest man alive. But there was one thing that worried me. Harper had a severe peanut allergy. Exposure could trigger anaphylaxis, a potentially fatal reaction. She always carried an EpiPen. She was careful about everything she ate. It was simply part of who she was, and I made sure everyone knew about it, especially my family. The first time Harper met my family was for dinner at my parents' house about 3 years ago. I was nervous the entire drive over. I had warned Harper about the pranks, told her to be careful. She squeezed my hand and said she could handle it. Within the first hour, Linda made a comment about Harper's allergy. "Oh, an allergy. Your generation is so sensitive about everything." Marcus rolled his eyes when Harper asked about ingredients in the food. Brianna watched Harper with this calculating look that I should have recognized but chose to ignore. Just before dessert, Harper reached into her purse for her phone. She screamed and jerked her hand back. A huge rubber spider sat inside her bag. Brianna burst out laughing, practically falling out of her chair. Harper was shaking, trying to catch her breath. I stood up. "That was not funny," I said. My father fixed me with that cold, military stare. "Relax, son. If she is going to be part of this family, she needs to toughen up." I should have left right then. I should have taken Harper's hand and walked out that door and never looked back. But I did not. I told myself it would get better. I told myself they just needed time to accept her. Over the next 3 years, the pranks continued. During our first Christmas as a married couple, Brianna dumped a bucket of ice water on Harper while she was sleeping in the guest room. Harper got sick for a week afterward. Nobody apologized. On my 31st birthday, Brianna posted a video of Harper snoring on social media. She captioned it, "Welcome to the family." It got hundreds of comments making fun of my wife. When I demanded she take it down, Brianna accused me of having no sense of humor. Last Thanksgiving, Marcus hid our car keys somewhere in my parents' house. We spent 3 hours searching while Harper grew more and more anxious about missing her flight home to see her own family. When Marcus finally revealed he had them in his pocket the whole time, he acted like we should thank him for the entertainment. Through all of it, Harper tried. She really tried. She never complained to me, never asked me to choose, never gave me ultimatums. She would just squeeze my hand and say, "They are your family. I will learn to adapt." I loved her more for that patience than I could ever express, but I also hated myself for putting her in that position. Then 3 weeks ago, my mother called with a surprising offer. She wanted to host a dinner party to celebrate our 3rd wedding anniversary. "We want to show Harper that she is really part of the family now," Linda said. Her voice sounded warm, sincere. "I want to do this for you both." I was stunned. In 32 years, my mother had never offered to do anything like this. Maybe things really were changing. Maybe they finally accepted Harper. Maybe all those years of patience were paying off. I told Harper about it that night. She was hesitant at first, and I could not blame her. But when she saw how hopeful I was, she agreed. "If it means that much to you," she said, "then let us give them a chance." Before we went, I called my mother one more time. I reminded her about Harper's peanut allergy. "Absolutely no peanuts, Mom," I said. "This is serious. It could kill her." "Of course, honey," Linda replied. "I would never put Harper in danger. You know that." I believed her. God help me, I believed her. The night of the dinner party, Harper wore a blue dress that matched her eyes. She looked beautiful, nervous, but beautiful. I held her hand as we walked up to my parents' front door, and I promised her everything would be fine. The house looked different than I had ever seen it. Soft lighting, fresh flowers on every surface. A banner stretched across the living room, reading "Happy 3rd Anniversary, Dalton and Harper." My mother met us at the door with open arms. She actually hugged Harper, something she had never done before. My father shook my hand with more warmth than usual. Even Marcus raised his champagne glass in a genuine-seeming toast to our marriage. Harper leaned close to me and whispered, "Maybe I was wrong about them." Her eyes were wet with emotion. This was all she had ever wanted, to be accepted, to be part of my family. Watching her so happy made my chest ache with relief and gratitude. Dinner was perfect. Grilled chicken, mashed potatoes, fresh salad. I had checked everything twice. No peanuts, no hidden surprises. Linda talked about wanting grandchildren. Marcus asked Harper about her students. My father told stories from his military days that did not involve anyone being humiliated. It was the best family dinner I could remember. If I had been paying closer attention, I might have noticed Brianna and Marcus whispering in the kitchen. I might have caught the strange look that passed between my sister and my mother when they brought out dessert. But I was too happy, too relieved, too desperate to believe that my family had finally changed. Brianna carried out a tray of brownies and set them in the center of the table. "I made these myself," she announced, her smile wide and bright. "Special recipe for the happy couple." Harper's face lit up. "They look amazing, Brianna. Thank you so much." "Go ahead," Brianna urged. "Try the first one. You are the guest of honor." Harper picked up a brownie and took a bite. She closed her eyes and made a satisfied sound. "These are incredible." "What is your secret?" Brianna just smiled. Harper took another bite, then another. I grabbed one too. The chocolate was rich and dense. I did not notice anything unusual about the taste. 2 minutes later, Harper's hand went to her throat. "I feel strange," she said. Her voice sounded different, tighter. "Something is wrong." I looked at her face. Her lips were swelling. Red blotches spread across her cheeks. Her eyes widened with panic. "I cannot breathe properly," she gasped. My blood turned to ice. I spun toward Brianna. "What is in those brownies?" Brianna started laughing. She actually started laughing. "Just a little peanut butter hidden inside," she said. "It is a prank." I wanted to see her reaction. My mother giggled. "Oh, Brianna, you are terrible." I looked at Marcus. He had his phone out. He was recording. The room tilted. This could not be happening. This could not be real. Harper made a choking sound. Her breathing became labored, a horrible wheezing that filled the silent room. She clawed at her throat, trying to get air. Hives erupted across her skin. Her face swelled until I barely recognized her. "This is not a joke," I screamed. "She is having an allergic reaction. Where is her purse? Where is her EpiPen?" I ran outside to our car. Harper always kept a backup EpiPen in the glove compartment. My hands shook so badly I could barely open the door. I grabbed the pen and sprinted back inside. Harper had fallen off her chair. She lay on the hardwood floor, gasping, her lips turning blue. I dropped to my knees beside her and jabbed the EpiPen into her thigh. "Stay with me," I begged. "Please, Harper, stay with me." My father stood with his arms crossed. "She is being dramatic," he said. "It is not that serious." My mother peered down at Harper with a confused expression. "Is she acting?" Brianna had stopped laughing, but she was not helping. She just stood there with her hand over her mouth. "I did not know it was this bad," she kept saying. "How was I supposed to know?" I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. "My wife is going into anaphylactic shock," I told the operator. "Please send an ambulance immediately. She cannot breathe." Harper's eyes rolled back. Her body went limp in my arms. I held her against my chest, feeling her heart flutter weakly, watching her chest barely rise and fall. Marcus was still recording. The ambulance arrived in 11 minutes. It felt like 11 hours. The paramedics rushed in with their equipment. They gave Harper another injection of epinephrine. They put an oxygen mask on her face. They loaded her onto a stretcher. "Sir," one of them said to me, "we need to move fast. Her airway is closing." I climbed into the ambulance with her. As the doors closed, I looked back at my family, standing in the doorway of their house. Nobody followed. Nobody offered to come. My mother was already walking back inside. At the hospital, they rushed Harper into the intensive care unit. A nurse stopped me at the door. I could not go any further. I stood in that white hallway alone, watching them wheel my wife away, not knowing if I would ever see her alive again. 2 hours passed. I sat in a plastic chair, staring at the wall, replaying everything in my mind. The brownies. Brianna's smile. My mother's giggle. Marcus's phone. My father's dismissal. A doctor finally came out. "Mr. Dalton, your wife experienced severe anaphylaxis. We had to intubate her to keep her airway open. Is she going to be okay?" "She is stable now," he said, "but it was close. Another few minutes, and we might have lost her." I do not remember falling. I just remember being on the floor, my back against the wall, sobbing like I had not sobbed since I was a child. Later, they let me into Harper's room. She lay still, connected to machines, tubes in her nose and mouth. Her face was still swollen, marked with red patches, but she was alive. Her chest rose and fell in a steady rhythm. My phone buzzed. A text from Brianna. "Hope she is okay." That was crazy, lol. I turned off my phone and threw it across the room. I spent the night in a chair beside Harper's bed, holding her hand, watching her breathe. I did not sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her lying on my parents' floor, turning blue, dying because my sister thought it would be funny. Morning came. The swelling in Harper's face had gone down. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. She was going to make it. Around 10 in the morning, there was a knock at the door. My entire family walked in. Linda carried a bouquet of flowers and a balloon that said, "Get well soon." Robert stood with his arms crossed, his expression stern. Marcus and Brianna trailed behind, looking everywhere except at the bed. "How is she doing?" Linda asked. We were so worried. I stared at them. These people who raised me. These people whose approval I had spent my entire life chasing. These people who had almost killed my wife and could not even wait 24 hours before showing up with a grocery store balloon. Robert spoke first. "Son, do not you think you overreacted a bit last night, calling an ambulance for an allergic reaction? You always were dramatic." Brianna stepped forward. "Look, I am sorry she got sick. But how was I supposed to know her allergy? Was that serious? She should carry her EpiPen everywhere. It is not really my fault." Marcus nodded. "Legally speaking, there is no real harm done. She is fine now, right? No need to make this bigger than it is." Linda smiled tightly. "We just want to move past this as a family. No hard feelings." I looked at each of them in turn. My father, who called me dramatic for trying to save my wife's life. My mother, who brought a balloon instead of an apology. My brother, who was already calculating legal liability. My sister, who had not once said the words, "I am sorry." Not one of them had spoken to Harper. Not one of them had asked her how she felt. They were all facing me as if she was not even in the room. As if she did not matter. In that moment, everything I had suppressed for 32 years came flooding back. Every prank, every humiliation. Every time I was told I was too sensitive. Every time I watched Harper suffer and said nothing. I saw the pattern clearly for the first time. They were not going to change. They had never been going to change. This was who they were. This was who they had always been. I stood up from my chair. "Get out." Robert's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me, you do not talk to your family like that." "Family," I kept my voice steady, though everything inside me was shaking. "You call yourselves family. You almost killed my wife, and you are standing here laughing about it." Linda reached for my arm. "Dalton, honey, do not be so dramatic." I pulled away from her. "No, I am done being quiet. I am done pretending your pranks are funny. I am done watching you hurt people and calling it love." Brianna's eyes filled with tears that I did not believe for a second. I said I was sorry. "Why are you being so mean to me?" "You are not sorry. Harper almost died," I said. "You are sorry you got caught. There is a difference." Marcus shook his head. "You are choosing her over your own blood." I looked at my brother, this man who shared my childhood, who had locked me in basements and filmed my wife's near-death experience. Then I looked at Harper, still pale, still weak, but watching me with those kind eyes. "Harper is my family," I said. "She is the only person who has ever loved me without conditions, without making me feel small, without hurting me, and calling it toughening up. You are just strangers who share my DNA." My father's face turned red with anger. "If you walk away from this family, do not ever come back. That is exactly what I am planning to do." I walked to the wall and pressed the call button for the nurse. When she arrived, I spoke calmly. "These people are not welcome in this room. Please have security escort them out." Robert started to say something, but 2 security guards appeared in the doorway. My family had no choice but to leave. As they walked out, my mother shot me a look of pure venom. "You will regret this," she hissed. The door closed behind them. The room fell silent except for the beeping of Harper's monitors. I sank back into my chair, exhausted in a way I had never felt before. A soft pressure on my hand made me look up. Harper was awake. Her eyes were open, watching me. I heard everything she whispered. Her voice was weak and rough, but her words were clear. "I am so sorry." Tears spilled down my face. "I should have done this years ago. I should have protected you from the beginning." Harper squeezed my hand with what little strength she had. "You chose me." I leaned forward and pressed my forehead to hers. "I will always choose you," I said. "Always." We stayed like that for a long time, two people holding on to each other in a hospital room, starting over, building something new from the wreckage of what should have been. The first weeks after Harper came home were the hardest. Her body recovered faster than either of us expected. Within 10 days, the swelling was gone, her breathing was normal, and the doctors cleared her to return to work. But healing from what my family did took much longer. I blocked all of their numbers. I changed our home address. I wrote a single email explaining that I was cutting off contact and asked them not to reach out. The responses came anyway, through new email addresses, through mutual friends, through letters delivered to my office. My mother wrote pages of justification explaining how she never meant any harm, how we were overreacting, how I was destroying the family. She never once apologized to Harper. My father left voicemails threatening to cut me out of his will, as if money could buy back the years of abuse I finally recognized for what it was. Brianna sent messages through Facebook from fake accounts, calling me a traitor, telling me Harper had brainwashed me. Marcus sent a letter on his law firm's letterhead, vaguely threatening legal action for defamation, though we had never said a word publicly about what happened. Every message confirmed what I already knew. They were not capable of change. They did not want to change. Acknowledging what they had done would require admitting that their entire family culture was built on cruelty, and they would rather lose me forever than face that truth. There were hard nights. I would lie awake wondering if I had done the right thing. Despite everything, I still had memories of good moments, teaching me to ride a bike, cheering at my college graduation. But those memories were tangled with the bad ones, now inseparable, tainted. I started seeing a therapist. For the first time in my life, I talked honestly about my childhood. I described the pranks, the fear, the constant anxiety of never knowing when the next humiliation would come. My therapist helped me understand that what I had experienced was not normal. It was not love. It was a pattern of emotional abuse that I had been conditioned to accept. Learning that word abuse was like putting on glasses for the first time. Suddenly, everything was clear. The pranks were not jokes. They were tests of how much pain I could endure before I broke. And I had been trained to break silently, to smile through the hurt, to tell myself this was what family meant. Harper and I grew closer than ever during those months. We started having dinner with her parents over video calls every Sunday. They sent care packages from Montana filled with homemade cookies and handwritten notes. They asked about my job, remembered details from previous conversations, said they were proud of me. Simple things that felt revolutionary. We made new friends. Neighbors who invited us to barbecues where no one ended up crying. Coworkers who celebrated birthdays with actual cake. A community of people who proved that connection did not require cruelty. 6 months after that night in the emergency room, Harper and I took a trip to the mountains. We rented a cabin with a view of the peaks, no phone service, no interruptions. On our last evening there, we sat on the porch, watching the sun set behind the trees. "I am happy," I said. It felt strange to say out loud. Happy was not a word I had used much in my life. Harper leaned her head on my shoulder. "Me too. I thought cutting off my family would leave me empty," I told her. "I thought there would be this huge hole where they used to be. But instead, I just feel peaceful, like I've been carrying this heavy weight my whole life, and I finally set it down." She took my hand. "That is what freedom feels like. I know not everyone will understand the choice I made. Some people believe family is everything, that blood ties should never be broken, that forgiveness means giving people unlimited chances to hurt you. I used to believe that too, but I have learned something different. Family is not just about who you are related to. Family is about who shows up when you need them, who respects you, who builds you up instead of tearing you down, who loves you without conditions or hidden traps. Sometimes loving yourself and the people who truly matter means having the courage to walk away from those who do not. I do not hate my parents or my siblings. I have let go of that anger because carrying it only poisoned me. But I do not miss them either. What I miss is the family I wished they had been the family they showed glimpses of on that night before everything went wrong. That family never really existed. It was just another prank, the cruelest one of all. If you are watching this, and you have family members who hurt you, who make you feel small, who never apologize for the damage they cause, I want you to know something. You are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. You are allowed to choose peace. You are allowed to walk away. And no matter what anyone says, that does not make you a bad person. It makes you brave. So let me ask you this. What does family really mean to you? Are the people you call family truly treating you like one? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear this message. And if you have not already, subscribe to this channel so you do not miss more stories like this one. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here until the end. I hope that whatever you are going through, you find the peace you deserve. I hope you find people who love you the way you should be loved. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember, you are worthy of a family that never makes you question your worth.